Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And as the ANC continues to just fracture, big cracks happening all over the place now. We have a video attached here which I think you'll find very interesting. I'll get to that in a second. But first of all, let's consider what's happening within the ANC. The ANC's top officials, including President Cyril Ramaphosa and his deputy David Mabuza, met yesterday to discuss Secretary General Ace Magashule's defiance of the party's decision to suspend him. The meeting is also expected to decide if Magashule should be allowed to attend this weekend's meeting of the ANC's highest decision-making body, in between National Conference, the National Executive Committee. Magashule sent shockwaves this week when he refused to comply with the ANC National Working Committee, or NWC, decision to suspend him after he failed to voluntarily step aside pending finalization of his criminal case. He is facing a raft of charges, including corruption, fraud, and racketeering, related to a 250 million rand asbestos eradication tender that was awarded in the Free State during his time as Premier of the province. Magashule is a co-accused in a long list of accused people, including businessman Edwin Sodi, who won the tender with his now deceased partner Ignatius Ego Mpambani. The ANC NWC resolved on Monday that all leaders facing criminal charges who have not stepped aside of their own accord should be suspended after their 30-day deadline expired at the end of April. It emerged on Wednesday that the party Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte, had written a letter to Magashule on Monday informing him of his suspension. Magashule immediately responded with his own public letter denouncing his own suspension and instead announcing the suspension of Ramaphosa, citing the saga around his CRT campaign funding, even though this has not become a criminal matter. Insiders have said that Magashule, who is part of the top six by virtue of his elected position, had not been invited to Friday's meeting, which started at 3 p.m. yesterday. The meeting would only be attended by Ramaphosa, Mabuza, Duarte, Treasury General Paul Mashatile, and National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe. Among other matters, the officials will also go through the step-aside appeal process formulated by Mashatile and decide whether an affected member's suspension should be automatically lifted once they mount an appeal. Magashule, in his letter about Ramaphosa, indicated he had appealed his suspension, in terms of which he is prohibited from representing the ANC in any forum, internally or publicly. Officials are meeting at 3 p.m. That was yesterday. They're reflecting on these things of suspension letters and counter letters, said a member of the ANC NEC, who requested to remain anonymous because they are not allowed to speak publicly about the matter. The insider did not rule out the possibility of Magashule's suspension being lifted since he was appealing. However, another senior ANC source argued that Magashule should not be allowed into the meeting as his suspension kicked in on Monday. The source said Magashule's appeal was ill-informed since his court case was far from conclusion, with the trial only scheduled for later this year. The insider said, "What you are appealing when you are still indicted in a court of law? You're in court on charges of corruption and fraud, so what are you appealing?" He went on to say, "The letter states it clearly that the person is suspended from all activities of the ANC. You cannot represent the ANC on any platform. You're suspended like at work. Once suspended, you can't attend diary meetings at your work or take part in any meetings to plan for your newspaper, it means you are sitting at home. This was at odds with the opinion of one of the NWC members who spoke to Times Live. They said he's appealing the step aside, not the charges in court. They, the national officials, must hear his reason why he thinks he should not be stepping aside. The NWC accepted there must be a process of appeal, so they will have to discuss and finalize that. Now, what is so interesting here is in the video that's attached here is none other than that big fat buffoon, Floyd Shivambu, from the Economic Freedom Fighters in Parliament, is now questioning the validity of Ramaphosa's position as president because Ace Magashule has now suspended Ramaphosa. As I said in an earlier video, no Gandhi poppies dance. This is where it gets quite interesting. Just watch the ANC tear themselves to shreds. This is a reality. And there's one final thing I'd say about the video that's attached here. Even though we're talking about a complete chamosel, a complete chamos in South Africa, guess who's to blame according to Ramaphosa? You heard it. You knew it. Apartheid. This is all happening because of the apartheid system. It's to blame for everything that's going wrong in South Africa in 2021. Go figure. Here comes that video. Please remember to subscribe on Loving Life on YouTube. Please remember to register on lovinglifetv.com, our own new platform we're transitioning to. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.
Hey, I'm sorry that I'm not able to be in the house.
Order. On a point of order, Deputy Speaker.
What's the point of order, Honourable Member?
I was waiting to check who is going to be answering these questions because all of us who are representing political parties, and as far as we're concerned, maybe you must deal with that first. Who is representing us? The information that we have is that Mr. Ramaphosa is suspended from the organization. He's supposed to mandate him here. So you must clarify who is representing. Is he representing his jacket?
Order.
Or is he
Order.
representing a political party?
Order.
Because he's not
Order.
permitted. One here.
Honorable-
Who is representing? What is that first?
Honourable Member, please sit down. Members, this is your information through your own networks and things. We don't know what you're talking about. As far as we are concerned, the president is here and he's going to, you hear? So the president, go ahead, please.
Mr. Speaker.
No, Honourable Member, if you are proceeding on this thing, I have ruled on this matter and I've communicated to
But
you.
it's false to say that we
No, Honourable Member,
information.
Honourable Member, I'm speaking
It
as
must be
a
dealt with
Honourable,
before.
Honourable Shivambu.
Listen to a person who might be representing his jacket.
Honourable Shivambu, in the first place, you stood up there without anybody recognizing you. This is a violation of the rules of the House. Order, and if you repeat it, Honourable Member, this will be considered contempt. And I think you should accept that. And in the first place, we are here as Parliament, not as anything else. Honourable
Social
President, please
distance,
proceed.
wena Floyd, social distance. Uma kwalawo. Utshama kahle. Iho hina la.
Honourable members, please don't rule from the floor. Honourable members sitting on that seat, you are not supposed to be sitting like that, please. Please, you know that. Thank you very much. Honourable members, don't rule from the chairs where you are sitting. We will reserve this chair for you, but in the future. Mr. President, please go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes?
on a point of order.
What's the point of order?
Yeah, the Deputy President of the EFF asked the question and it has not been responded to. With
What?
all the greatest respect, I'm talking to the Deputy Speaker.
What's your question,
The
honorable member?
question is, who is the person that is speaking now?
Honorable,
Speaking on
honorable
behalf-
member.
We are
But
here
it's
as
not Floyd's
Point of
responsibility
order.
to know who the president is. He must worry
Point
about
of
the EFF.
order. Point of order.
Honorable members.
Deputy Speaker, can you protect me?
Honorable
Point
member.
of order.
Oh, can I be protected?
Honorable
from
members.
the people.
Honorable
From
members.
what? Are you members of the ANC now? What's your concern? Floyd must worry about Julius, not the ANC.
Honorable Speaker.
Point of order.
We're not these people, but members of parliament.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Honorable members, including those on the virtual platform, can you
Please chase them the way.
please, honorable member, can you take a seat so that I address you, please?
Okay.
Yeah, honorable member, this is Parliament, and Parliament has not heard a story that you are telling us about, you and your chief whip. We don't know what you are talking about as Parliament. So there is no question of such nature that arises as a result. We are here to listen to the president of the country, and so this is what's going to proceed. Honorable President, please go on. I'm not taking any order on this matter anymore. Honorable President, let's proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable members.
Honorable members, give them a chance to speak, please.
In relation to the first question, the achievement of a national democratic society is a necessary response to the economic and social inequalities in South Africa. It describes a society that is truly united, democratic, non-racial, and non-sexist. It is an inclusive society in which all people benefit from sustainable economic growth. Since the advent of democracy in 1994, the country has made valuable progress along the path towards a national democratic society. We are not yet there, but we have made great progress. Now, the measures we are undertaking to rebuild our economy in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic are contributing to the fundamental transformation that is required to advance that aspiration. We have said before that the economic reconstruction and recovery plan cannot simply return our country to where it was before the pandemic struck. It needs to build a new, more inclusive economy that can effectively reduce poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Through this plan, we are mobilizing investment, creating new jobs, and supporting existing ones and accelerating industrialization. We are undertaking large-scale public investment in key sectors of our economy, such as energy, water and sanitation, roads and bridges, human settlements, health and education, digital infrastructure, and public transport. Investment in infrastructure is transformative. Not only does it stimulate growth and expand economic infrastructure, but it also improves our competitiveness and promotes job creation. It also provides crucial social infrastructure and services to the people of our country, particularly those in poor and underserviced communities. Already, we have seen over the last 27 years how our investment in infrastructure, whether for electrification, whether for water provision or housing, has contributed a great deal to reducing poverty. We've seen how our investment in schools, in clinics, in colleges and universities have opened the doors of learning to many young people and improved access also to healthcare. As we promote investment in sectors such as agriculture, in manufacturing, mining, and tourism, we are supporting emerging businesses in these areas that previously they were not even able to participate in, through the provision of finance, training, and access to markets. Our emphasis on localization aims not only to benefit established companies, but also to grow small-scale manufacturers in the townships and also to promote our rural entrepreneurs. We are undertaking the presidential employment stimulus to provide work opportunities through public employment programs as well as through the protection of existing jobs, and also with a view of supporting livelihoods. By the end of March, the presidential employment stimulus had supported over 650,000 people in opportunities through a wide range of programs for people who would otherwise have remained unemployed, with over 500,000 participants already at work. As part of this employment stimulus, more than 300,000 education assistants were placed in over 20,000 schools across our country. Funding has also been provided to protect vulnerable teaching posts. Income support is being provided for more than 100,000 workers in the early childhood development sector. More than 50,000 opportunities are being created in public employment programs in the environmental sector, including in natural resource management, fire protection, and on the war on waste. Almost 2,000 artisans have been hired by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to support water and energy efficiency, and many of these are young people. They've also been brought into facilities management and into the Rural Bridges program. The expansion of the Global Business Services Incentive has enabled the creation of more than 8,000 new jobs in the sector since October. More than 100,000 small-scale and subsistent farmers are being provided with input vouchers to expand their agricultural production. Deputy Speaker, as we enter the second phase of the stimulus, we are focused on ensuring that we establish pathways for participants into the private sector employment in areas of education and training and enterprise support. The Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is underpinned by a dedicated focus on key economic reforms, particularly in network industries like energy, water, ports, rail, and telecommunications. Through the Operation Vulindlela, we are accelerating the implementation of these reforms and unlocking investment and growth. Economic reforms are also necessary to reduce the cost of living for South Africans, who will benefit from more efficient, competitive, and sustainable services like electricity, water, as well as transport. The achievement of a national democratic society requires a capable developmental state, a state that is people-centered, but also a state that is free from corruption. This administration has therefore taken decisive measures to confront state capture and corruption, to rebuild public institutions and strengthen law enforcement agencies, and to also professionalize the public service. Through the district development model, we are seeking to bring all levels of government closer to our people and to ensure that communities and other stakeholders are more involved in the development and implementation of local development plans. As we have worked towards our goal of a national democratic society over the last 27 years, we've been confronted by numerous challenges. We've had to tackle the damaging legacy of our apartheid past, which continues to divide our society by race, gender, and class, and to cast a shadow, a dark shadow, over the future of our young people. We've also had to confront our own weaknesses, including corruption and areas of mismanagement and poor delivery. Most recently, we've had to confront the coronavirus pandemic, the most severe global health crisis in more than a century. But as we work to rebuild our economy and society, we continue to pursue the fundamental social and economic transformation that our Constitution promises and that the people of this country desire and so deserve. Deputy Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable